Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards, and with me is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drink of Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us a part of your day. Hi, Zeke.
Howdy, howdy.
How are you?
Not too bad for a rainy evening.
Now, we are recording back-to-back nights, although these will come out on consecutive weeks. But this is we haven't done back-to-back nights in a very long time.
I'm aware in multiple facets of my life.
I think it's been years since we've done back-to-back nights.
You probably had hair on your head back then.
Had hair on my head, probably weighed a little bit less. It was a better time in my life.
You'll get there, buddy. Don't worry.
I will. I want to mention before we get started that this show is sponsored by CaskCartel.com, changing the industry standard in how you receive your alcohol. So they are like the Amazon of the spirits industry. You can reach out to CaskCartel.com, go on the website. It's late night. You're on a late night trip. You're sitting on the couch. You're bored. You realize you're out of gin. You need some liquor. Go to CaskCartel.com. Get them to ship it directly to your door. They got tequila, mezcal, all that kind of good stuff. Whiskey, vodka. Check them out. They are changing the industry standard of how you are getting alcohol shipped to you. That being said, if you have the opportunity to go to a store, you should go to Barrels and Brews, where we are right now with our good friends Justin and James and Chris from Traverse City Whiskey. Welcome, all of you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to be here, guys.
That was like the equivalent of tag. Like, touch the microphone. You're it. I'm running away.
So, James, how are you?
Doing all right.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. How's business?
We're closed.
We are closed right now.
It's after 10. We're closed.
The store is going very, very well, though, isn't it? I mean, the last time we were here, and I know we want to get to Chris and all the good stuff that's going on at Traverse City Whiskey, but you and Justin have been killing it, haven't you?
We've been pretty busy. We moved some product.
Do you want to elaborate what product you've been moving lately?
Barrel picks.
Whiskey.
I think they've been killing themselves because literally I've stopped in at least 3 times just to shoot the breeze and share some fun random pours. And yeah, they're gone today doing a pick. All right, I'll come back. Still gone doing picks, man.
Hey, we've been back for at least a month and a half, I'll tell you right now. We're doing pretty well.
You guys ever do back-to-back nights? Like when you're doing a barrel pick?
Numerous times.
Oh, man.
It's easier for them when they just show up at a distillery and do 2 picks at once instead of, or I guess 3 picks at once instead of having to visit multiple distilleries.
Wait, so they've done 3 at the same time?
Accidentally, we ended up with 3 picks at the same time up in Traverse City.
I mean, I would think that if you're doing 3 at the same time, you would get tired very, very quickly.
And tired they were after a 13-hour journey.
Although I feel like that's the pot of gold, you know, at the end of the rainbow or whatever. Like, oh, man, we just busted and drove this far. All right, I'm beyond tired, beyond stressed or pissed. Let's just get into some whiskey and have some fun.
But all joking aside, I mean, I think what Justin and James have been doing when we came last time, Zeke wasn't with me on that one, but you guys were just about to open. It was before the June opening, which was the soft opening, before the July huge opening. There have been people who have been camping out in front of your store before it opens to get some of the picks. I mean, you guys have had amazing barrel picks that came out. We were just singing your praises on your Taconic Maple. Plenty of really good stuff from Willets that have come out recently to a couple Traverse City picks that you did before that were the bourbon. You've had numerous Russells that have come through here. You have a Blue Note out there right now, a Wilderness Trail Rye that's really good that's out there, to the Treaty Oak Waterloo barrel proof gins. You guys have just been killing it. You've been working your butt off. I don't want to make you pick your favorite kid, but what has been your favorite pick that you've had since y'all have been open?
Go favorite pick or favorite experience? Because they are 2 different things, I think.
I mean, I would think it would be 3 picks at the same time.
That's a loaded question.
Do you take offense to it? The way that you just said that,
I don't know. I mean, it really is because like every trip's an experience. We always have a good time. We value the relationships we make during these trips and making these picks. I'm going to say right now, like teeing up to what we're talking about here today, going to Traverse City. We've been there twice now and had probably one of the best experiences ever. It's been one of the most quick and long trips we've ever done, especially driving down and back.
And they gave us guns.
Yeah, we get to shoot some stuff.
Yeah, between,
Chris, right,
between buying barrels, we shot a gun here or there.
So why haven't we been called to come up to Traverse City and just do the podcast up there? And like we could have went and shot guns.
You'll get there one day.
Drank whiskey.
When are we going to go, John?
I don't know. I mean, like maybe if we don't do back-to-back nights.
Yeah, he gives us an invite and you say, sorry. What about this day? Sorry. We say, we got a family thing that day. You let me know when you get the hall pass to go up there, buds.
As far as the response and the community around us, it's been great. And, you know, we're happy to be here, finally operating and doing what we're doing and engaging with everybody, letting them come in and try our stuff and being cool people like Chris that we're fortunate enough to engage with. So it's cool.
You know, I think with, more picks and allocated stuff coming up, like John said, some folks actually camping out and whatnot, you could almost do like a Hollywood Stars kind of thing and put something out on the concrete in front of the store, and people could have like a membership kind of club, and depending on how much you want to give, this is your star for the next 12 months. That's your spot in line kind of thing.
Yeah, as far as the clubs are concerned, we're gonna keep that on the back burner for right now. We like to be fair, and this is our first up and running. We're coming up on 5 months in, hitting it strong right now, and we want to make sure that around everybody pretty local to us, we want to make everything as fair as possibly we can. So that's the way we look at it as right now.
I really love your store because there's so much room for activities.
Yeah, I can do a backflip if I wanted to, but I'm not that agile.
You could put a drum set back here. We are back in the
It's the
boardroom.
only store John doesn't knock over bottles when he goes rambling through the aisles.
Well, the thing I like about it, it's the one store where my daughter knows this whole store very, very, very well. And I should mention this. So Chris, you don't know this, but my 3.5-year-old has a huge crush on Mr. Justin. And she runs right for Justin every single time she comes in Barrels and Brews. And then I remember one weekend I took her here on a Saturday, and then the Sunday we went bowling, and she stole my hat and she wore it backwards and said, "I want to wear my hat like Mr. Justin wears his." And she loves Justin, but she also knows my daughter comes right in here and knows to go for the bookcase and open the bookcase and comes in the back.
Yeah.
And there are all these people that are sitting there that are looking at me like I'm a bad dad. Like, how's your daughter know the secret door at Barrels and Brews?
Exactly.
Very carefully.
It's because it's a family atmosphere here,
It really is. We try to make it that way.
It really is one of those places where, and I'm sure, Chris, you've seen it being here for a couple of days, Barrels and Brews is one of those places where people just come to hang out because Justin and James are just those type of people. They just are warm and inviting. They are here to educate you. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that tasting bar, I think, is one of the best, if not the best tasting bar in town. And it's one of those places where you have every single one of your picks up there, as well as some beer taps where you can say, what kind of stuff do you like? And then you walk somebody through it to help them find the whiskey that they like in the end, right?
Exactly. It goes with anything we have available in our store. We want to engage with our customers, learn what they like, so we can make a better recommendation when they come in the next time. It's just part of that, just the relationship factor. We love that. We want you to have an experience when you come in the store, and we want you to know that we're here to help you guys. So we take pride in it. We love talking about it. It's what we love to do. That's why we're so involved in picking all these barrels, spirits, everything that we do. So I think that's important, and we want to make our customers feel important as well. So,
Well, it works. I mean, I've been here countless times. Granted, like I say, you and James were both gone, but
We run around like crazy.
You'd see folks come in and they just look at the bar and be like, "What is this?" And you know, Brad tells them, "Well, this is our tasting bar." Like,
Yep.
what are you into? You know, anything you're curious about? I can, you know, from there navigate you towards at least, you know, probably 3 things here you have a nip of.
Yep.
And at least probably one of those, you know, confident you're going to say, hey, that works. And you head to the register with a bottle. And it's a very high success rate. I mean, I just like sitting here and seeing the people taste stuff and talk about it and hearing what they pick up from it and, you know, different nuances and notes. As far as customer service and satisfaction, I mean, it's like going to a restaurant and like, can I get about a bite of each of those 4 plates and then pick one? I mean, obviously that doesn't happen, but you know you're going home with something that you're going to enjoy, which at the end of the day, as much whiskey's out there now, as many labels, and as hard as it is to keep up with what's what and what's in it and where it came from, I mean, that's driving home quality at the end of the day.
Yeah, like you said, at the end of the day, we want you to go home happy, and we want to give you some options, especially with anything that we hand select ourselves. Like, we're going to always give you the story, the background of why we picked it, when we picked it, and et cetera. And then also we've got a little arsenal of other spirits open behind the bar as well. And, you know, depending on what you're looking for, it's a flooded market nowadays. There's so much stuff out there, and we want y'all to go home happy. I mean, we don't want you to spend $50 on a bottle and then go home and be like, came back, I hated this. You know what I mean? So
can I return this? There's only half an ounce missing, I promise.
There you go. Trust me, that's happened before in the past. But, you know, at the end of the day, we want you to go home happy, and that's where the whole relationship factor comes in. We want to be engaged and make sure our customers feel important. There you go.
You did very, very well when James just got up and left you to finish the Barrels and Brews part of the show. On a completely different side note that I'm going to cut out of here, I posted a picture last night of Zeke being bored. Like, you looked like you were deep in thought in the interview with Pat.
Yeah, I saw it.
And some guy just sent us an eggplant emoji back.
Oh, wow.
To that picture. And he sent an eggplant emoji back to the
Killing the
picture
game,
of
boy.
Zeke.
Check your DM. That's what I was doing while I was out there, by the way.
What'd you do?
That was his fake account. He sent it. It was his
Well,
side
the picture's
account.
in the DM, so look in there.
Look, no lie.
There we go.
What we got here?
Hold on, what's the name on that?
Yeah,
Jonathan.
Oh, Floyd?
Yeah.
That's the baby man from home.
Oh. He sent a picture of an
I've known
eggplant.
him longer than probably anyone in life.
Oh, he probably doesn't realize that you don't use the Instagram.
That's solid, though.
The one thing I will say, you know, both of you guys, and I want to make sure that we go to another thing that you all have been doing that is very, very interesting and we're all here for. But just want to say we love that you're killing it. And, you know, as your friends, we love seeing this be the spot that everybody says, well, you know, if you come to Nashville, you got to go to Barrels and Brews. It's one of those things that makes us, you know, as your friends, we're proud of you. So keep it up. But as I was saying, a thing that you have done is with the man sitting right here to my right, Chris Fredrickson from Traverse City Whiskey. You guys have put out together the first weeded whiskey that Traverse City had, right?
That is correct. In fact, it's something that's not even on our shelf yet.
Let's talk about this before we talk a little bit about Traverse City, because you poured this for us before we started even recording. I think Zeke and I are both drinking this. Justin and James picked this. I talked to you about this on the phone. I think you hadn't even had it. So you're like, yeah, fingers crossed, everything's still as good as it was the day we picked it, right?
Yeah, this particular barrel was set aside in our rack house and had probably been tasted about 2 years ago. And of course, we have to check every mash bill every so often just to check progress and make sure everything is copacetic. As soon as our pick, our barrel-proof bourbon pick had finished, with James and Justin, we were on our way out the door. And so one of the two had asked what this barrel was. If there's anything hidden away, tucked away. And we opened it up. We tried it. It was great. 4 years old. It was, by the time we bottled it, it was 4 years and 1 week old. And we have been sitting on it It's been patiently aging in the northern Michigan climate for the last 4 years. And our production crew, our master blender, was like the only one that had tried it aside from us that one day. And so it was kind of a fun, special thing to be able to bring down here and share, being it was one of the first recipes that we had distilled in-house back in 2015, and a fun thing to be able to share with some friends that have been supporters and advocates for us for a while now.
The nose is just Christmas. Like, that's the best way I think I can describe it. There's so much going on there. Like, it's spicy, but not like a spice, like a hot spice, like a Christmas spice. Like you're cooking something on the stove, makes the whole house smell like Christmas. I don't know if you're getting that, Zeke, but
Nope.
I'm not surprised that you and I are opposites.
I get a solid blend of caramel and malt, but I mean, I pick up malt normally pretty good. I gravitate toward that, so admittedly that doesn't surprise me. But there is a sweet caramel on top of it, and definitely I can't think in my mind what like candied product this would be, but it's not like the chocolate covered malt balls. It'd be more like caramel over it instead. I don't know if that exists, but in my mind, that's the two predominant notes that I get out of it.
I'm almost getting a bit of toffee.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Almost
That
like
goes in with Christmas for me.
Like a Heath bar.
A toffee Christmas.
Well, like the candy, it's not just, it's candy, a little
When
bit
you
of
say
pine.
Christmas, I think of a tree. Like
No.
Christmas tree.
I think of the food. Too. That's the problem. You're not fat.
I mean, I think most people, you said, what smells like Christmas? The tree.
I think it's a little bit of pine. It's a little bit of gingerbread. It's a little bit of toffee. It's a little bit of chocolate. It's a little bit of, those are the things that I think of. Just throw everything. It's a cornucopia of
Excellent word.
smells.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a Thanksgiving, though. That's not Christmas.
It is a poinsettia of a spruce of a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I'm about to quote one of our good friends in the industry.
You get marzipan?
Chandler. No, I get golden graham. I get like a golden graham like cereal thing to it. I don't know.
That's a cinnamon. It's almost like a cinnamon
That's
graham
what I
cracker.
related to, but it's a good.
We're making Chris now reach for it.
What are you working with, James?
I have the bourbon in a glass right now.
Oh.
We just poured. Yeah,
I poured that so we could know the.
But so,
But you know what I
subjective,
love
man.
about whiskey is none of us are wrong.
Exactly, man. It's all subjective. At the end of the day, you like it or you don't, and you're sitting around the table and drinking some good whiskey with some friends and talking about it. Mm-hmm. That's what I like about it.
while everybody's nosing and collecting thoughts, and quick question, but wheaters generally do take longer than most everything else to get to where, quote unquote, you want it to be.
Yep.
You guys being up north, how much differences have you seen and or plan for now that you've been doing this for a while and see the variations?
Yeah, good question. It's interesting. So with the northern climate, we also have 4 very defined seasons, meaning we have significantly more expansion and contraction with a change of temperature. We also have a much harsher, colder environment. When you have that cold environment, you don't lose water first, you lose alcohol. So even though this was barreled at 120 proof, we always lose alcohol. We don't lose water. So that's one thing to account for. Second, that expansion and contraction with the change of the season it does aid in a faster maturity with the northern climate. Now, not many distilleries are up north, so to speak. By the way, we have a in-house moniker, the whiskey of the North, right? And what does that mean? It's just it's accounting for our climate. And
it's a play on Game of Thrones.
Is it? Which came first?
Which did.
Check the trademark.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
So King of the North came after Whiskey of the North?
It did.
Man.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
So the cold weather actually induces faster aging?
The change in temperature induces faster aging. So
Troy's going to love that one, John.
We have not, at this point, we have not opened a barrel in Traverse City and achieved a proof higher than around 118. Literally the only time that's happened is with our port barrel finish, which was a younger bourbon finished in a port wine cask, but it was barreled younger.
Going in at 125 or?
Went in at 125, came out at 121. But with that being the exception, everything else comes out of the barrel at usually around 112, 115, going in at 120, 125.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bit of a learning curve, though, I'm sure.
A bit. We've been studying the science closely, trying to figure out whether we want to support the lack of temperature. Every bit of research has shown that why try to duplicate what's already going on down here in Kentucky? Just own the northern climate.
Yeah, I figured you have your control barrel, so to speak, that you taste every so often. And all right, well, this mash at this age did this.
Yep.
Might not have been what we thought it was going to do, but taste a few more, and it seems to be a consistent, trend. So then you just document it and keep going. But I think from a science kind of nerdy side of things, that's got to be fun to be innovative and, well, this is what most people think it's going to do. But you put it up here, things get a little different, and here's what you have to account for and factor in. And at the end of the day, it's got to be, impeccable knowledge that not many are going to ever have.
Yeah, for us, it's really just experience and trying to own the fact that we are off the beaten path and not trying to recreate Kentucky, recreate Tennessee, but do it in a way that is near and dear to Traverse City.
Knowing that you had the trademark for this before Game of Thrones,
yeah,
and I'm not staying on
it. I knew that was going to catch John.
No, but let's talk about when you guys got started, because now we can kind of put the timetable in there that it was before Game of Thrones started. So, I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking Game of Thrones started. What was it, 9-10 years ago that they were really getting into that stuff?
Was it really 9-10 years ago?
Are you you're saying these things to me with this shit-eating grin, and I think like you're messing with me. It was a while ago. There were like 8 seasons or 6-7 seasons of.
I never watched it.
Don't judge me. I just started. I'm only on season 3.
Yeah, so we started. So the idea of Traverse City whiskey was birthed within 2 or 3 months of the first episode date of Game of Thrones.
So they started before you.
They did start before us.
So King of the North started before Whiskey of the North because they obviously wrote the script.
Technically,
yeah.
Yes.
And George R.R. Martin wrote the book. Justin's now joined the live. I have a live going on. It's like Inception.
I have to say, I'm not a Game of Thrones fan. Not because I don't. No, I just never got into it.
So what year was that then that you guys started going?
We started the business for the Traverse City Whiskey business in 2011. We incorporated in 2012 and sold our first bottle of hooch in July of 2012.
You look like you're 25 years old. So how did that work? Like,
do I?
I mean,
the hair.
I know. I'm just saying, like,
bit.
you look younger, much younger than me. I know we're probably about the same age, but I'm just saying,
I think
like,
we are.
You got that baby face going on. What made you guys decide to start Traverse City Whiskey in the first place?
We got started for a couple of reasons, and one, this portfolio of booze was never the original intention. We came in very green and new to the industry, but back in 2011, we did find a set of my great-grandfather's distilling patents that he had patented during the Prohibition, and I love that sound, by the way. And that was kind of the springboard for what became our first expression, which is our straight bourbon. Fast forward a couple years, we launched the straight bourbon in July of 2012. The market kind of gravitated toward what we were making and I guess our brand and our company. And it encouraged us to quit our full-time jobs and dive in head first.
So what did you do before you slang whiskey?
I was in management consulting. My business partners were attorneys, and we were looking for a way out.
That's funny. We should have a talk after we're done recording because I did tech consulting for a legal services company.
Huh.
So
sidebar and nerd conversation.
We can nerd out over indemnity and all sorts of things like that. So, which one are you guys trying over there?
Can't tell you. We're going to pour more for us later. Just watch which one gets lower.
Until this very moment, I was certain that we predated Game of Thrones. And literally until you said that.
I was like mother. Well, because he wrote the books too. He wrote the books, and he was like.
But did the books come out that far before the show?
Oh yeah.
Damn it.
Books came out because he won't finish his friggin'.
Just tell enough people, and they'll believe you.
Then I can't fucking own it.
Yeah, you can. They're fucking liars.
Son of a bitch.
You sold your first barrel right off after you guys started, right?
Within a year of when we started the company, we had sold our first bottle.
Now, you said it wasn't supposed to be like this. What was it supposed to be?
It's not that it wasn't supposed to be like this, but I don't think that we could have foreseen that we would have had maybe this many expressions available. You know, we started with our bourbon and our cherry whiskey, and we didn't want to be the jack of all trades, nor are we the jack of all trades. But it, I don't think, now we sell or we make 9 SKUs.
Everybody's kind of starting off, and you're thinking about like the business plan and how you're getting off the ground. Did you have a pretty good set of investors when you started? Were you scrambling because you went MGP? Mm-hmm. You could have put out clear liquid. You could have let your own juice sit. You didn't know about distilling when you first started all of this, right?
Correct.
You went and got MGP. That was the route that you went, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's very good stuff that comes from MGP, but when you're starting off a distillery, there's one of like 4 paths you can go. So you went the sourcing path. How much MGP did you get right from the beginning?
Yeah.
Because they make you buy in bundles of 20 to 30, right? Yep. Like, so you had to scramble and go get all of that whiskey or all of that money to buy those barrels, right?
Yeah. So I love that question. And this actually isn't something that we talk about often because not many people understand the industry for what it is today. But back in 2011, 2012, we had this relationship that brought us to MGP. And we pooled all of our savings, me and my 2 business partners, and we bought 20 barrels of 2008 MGP bourbon. And for us, it was a big, scary investment.
No doubt.
Because we didn't know. And remember, back in 2011, 2000, nobody valued that bourbon the way they value it today.
And the sad thing is, though, you find these other places that did it. So you talk to Blom, and you talk to Bellmead, and you talk to Smooth Ambler, and you talk to even Pinhook. What you got it for in 2011, most of them bought it in like 2006 to 2008, and they got it for $350 a barrel. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. What was it in 2011, 2012? I mean, I'm sure it went from $350 to $550 or something.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, even not now, you go and it's $5,000 when it used to be, $500.
Well, that and 2008 bourbon, where are you going to find it? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, but it's very rare. So investors, we didn't start that route. We were just fortunate enough to enter the market when we did. So we pooled our money and bought these 20 barrels. It wasn't a lot of 20. And as we started selling it, we realized that we were onto something. So we bought 20 more. That was scary as hell because it was doubling down on the idea. And it was all or nothing. And we were just very fortunate with the timing. And our team, my business partners and we have very different skill sets, but we kind of found our, some good synergies amongst the group.
So you, and it was 2 other people.
Yep.
You all had your strengths. You doubled down. What was your strength you brought to the table?
Oh, I don't know. They all kind of blend together. Between seeding, distribution, selling, marketing, branding, packaging.
Because I have to think as a management consultant, you you're pretty good from a business standpoint at knowing, a lot of different things, right? Because a consultant, and I'm not giving you crap when I say that, the management consultants are going to go in and look at all aspects of the business. They're going to look at accounting stuff, what are these good investments? So you're looking at these 20 barrels and you're saying, okay, this is what my ROI is going to be. This is my time to my ROI. This is what we're actually going in at. We're putting all our savings in. I guess the other question, I'm not trying to get too dorky, but it's just trying to show people all the things that actually go into your head when you're starting a distillery. So that first 20, that was all your savings. The second 20, is that then debt, or was that
no? The second
profit
20
from the first?
Well, it was a combination. It was a combination of savings and then generated revenue from the first 20. But what was interesting about our first 20 barrels is that, entering the market when we did, our biggest fear was failing. And the way to prevent failing, selling, and this MGP whiskey, it is, was and is great bourbon. But one way to limit the risk and to prevent any real downside was to enter the market with a lower price bottle.
Yeah.
So our first bourbon was on the shelf at $25.99 for a fifth, which today it would never work.
And what age was that you were putting the stuff out at?
It was 4 year at that time.
I would take 4-year MGP for $25.99
any day of the week. Yeah,
absolutely.
And it wasn't sustainable, but looking back at it, it was, we were of course worried about the.
Well, that's a solid way to come in. I mean, we I guess laughing is not the best word, but you see some crafts that come out and, their first offering is 50 plus. It's like, that's steep for being the new boy on the block here. And, at least in my eyes, that's tough to really get people to buy into as far as you walk by and you see a label you've never heard of. Probably not many people talking about it. Your friends aren't, and it's 50 or more. And you're like, nah, I'm going to pass. I'm at $50. I'm buying something I know I'm going to enjoy when I get home with.
Yep. And the scariest part about when we started is there were so many people entering the game that were offering $50 bottles and they were subpar. And it scares, and at the time it scared a lot of people away from craft.
Yeah.
Which James and Justin are, really helping the industry having all these bottles back behind the tasting bar because you're not guessing. You're taking the guesswork out of it and you can actually enjoy and appreciate what you're about to buy before you buy it.
Not to cut you off for a second, but I took recently, and normally I don't tell stories about myself in the middle of the podcast, but I took about a week off while Zeke was on vacation of social media and all that other stuff. I just needed to take a break, but I've been rewatching The Office. So when all you wondered why I didn't post for a week, I was rewatching The Office, but it's when Michael Scott makes Michael Scott Paper Company and he starts undercutting the competition, and that's how he steals all the clients away from Dunder Mifflin. And I don't know, did you watch, you don't watch Game of Thrones. Did you ever watch The Office?
I didn't get into it.
All right, well, long story short.
Yeah.
Boss leaves, starts his own paper company, starts undercutting his own paper company. He realizes that he probably only has a month left because he's priced himself so low that he's not sustainable in the long run. And they actually say, well, the more you sell, the less money you're going to make and the more apt you are to close.
Yep.
So you probably had to come to a realization like that at some point.
We would have been the Michael Scott Paper Company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should go watch that episode. It's an arc.
Fitting.
It's season 5 of The Office. There's 4 episodes in there. That's the arc. I'll send them to you. So what then changed? When did you have to change? Where were you holding? There's so many questions I have, but where were you holding these barrels? Did you even have a spot, like an actual distillery at that point, tasting room, all that stuff?
So
I know that's 18 questions.
So we didn't. We called around the state of Michigan to find anybody who had a DSP in the state of Michigan that would inherit the risk of bottling for us under our brand.
And how many DSPs are in Michigan?
A lot.
Really?
Well, between 60 and 80. Back then, probably 40. But there are and were a healthy amount, and the state of Michigan is fantastic to do business with because they make the distillery process, not easy, but from what I'm told, easier than a lot of states. And so we have a healthy supply of DSPs in the state, and we found one person that was willing to work with us. So we would send them, I think we would draw down 4 barrels at a time and then bottle them and then in a Grand Caravan, pick them up. We would be drawing down barrels based on the payload of a minivan. They wouldn't hold the product for us, and they would bottle it, and the same day they would bottle it, we would pick it up and drive it to our distributor.
Was it somebody's mom's caravan, or was it like, did you buy a caravan specifically for that?
And this is my shout out to National Car Rental. Thank you for everything you did for us in the early days.
They get, if you work at National Car Rental, you get a free drink on Chris if you go to the distillery and show your National Car Rental.
Yep. Come to the distillery, use code National20 for 20% off a cocktail.
Yes.
Did they give you the same one, or was there was like a lot of like 3 or 4, and you knew which one had the busted shocks? Like, nah, don't give us that one again, man. Not the white one. We want the green one.
We broke the white one on this trip. We put too many cases in there, and shocks just got screwed.
No, it was great though. The same year that we started was the year that Dodge or Chrysler, they built a platform in the back of the minivan to tuck the seats under the floor, so you just have a flatbed, and we could carry the empty glass to the shop. They would fill it for us, and then we would transport it from the DSP to the distributor.
Oh, I'll just tell you, I have a truck parked outside, and it's got a flatbed. It's a lot easier to deal with than a minivan.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I mean, it's like, it's almost like a little bit like having a band, right? Because you're in the van, you're going on these trips, and the whiskey's kind of your equipment,
Yeah, we had same thing.
So you were doing 4 at a time. Then what changed? I mean, you at some point, your experience has to tell you that you're on to something, right?
Within the first year, we had sold enough in the state of Michigan that we were able to, it enticed us to go property hunting. We found our current distillery or still house at the corner of 14th and Cass in Traverse City. And it was an old, it was originally back in 1929, the Traverse City Light and Power substation for that side of town. It was bought by a print shop that was retiring, and we showed up, knocked on the door. He said, "I'm actually thinking about selling." So we made an offer, he accepted, and within a year, we were distilling.
Was there a for sale sign up, or did
there was not?
So it was one of those ones, because you always hear those stories, like somebody like wins the lottery and they go drive around and they knock on someone's door, like, "I'm going to buy your house."
Yeah.
So you just went up and said, like, "Your building looks cool.
Yeah.
I want your building."
Exactly.
And you don't have to rent it. I mean, you guys bought the building, right?
We did. Yeah.
Even better. Good work. You were a hell of a management consultant, weren't you?
It was a lot of work the first year. We actually built, my business partner and I built a lot of our current tasting room by hand. And it was a lot of long nights with cheap beer and Chinese takeout and just hustling.
Well, Pabst is near you, right? Like, I mean, it's one state over. A lot of PBR, Miller High Life.
Miller High Life, yeah.
You know the best part of Pabst, right?
What?
No two taste alike.
Keystone Light. That's always a good time.
The 30 packs.
Oh, yeah, 30 Stones. When I was in college, 30 Stones was $9.99.
Oh, shoot, man. Spring break.
Now, you are pulling something here, and it's the rye.
It is the rye.
Yeah.
This was also picked by Barrels and Brews. This was picked by Justin and James. So that is a great segue that you just made without realizing you were making it. You all were doing the bourbon. It was MGP bourbon. Then you realized, and you said you weren't expecting to have all these SKUs. What made you then go decide to do rye? And did you kind of go the same route. You're like, all right, we're just starting to distill after you made your building. So you're a couple years in. It's probably 2013, 2014 when you're finally doing your own distilling. And then what made you decide to do a rye? Where did you go get that stuff?
Yep. Back up one step. So we were making bourbon, which launched in 2012, and Traverse City, the cherry capital of the world. Our second natural release was our cherry whiskey, which is the same bourbon, but we steep fruit from my family's cherry farm into the bourbon to make the cherry whiskey. That was our second expression. We knew that in the growing world of bourbon, everybody was coming out with bourbon back in 2013, 2014. Everybody had a bourbon. But we saw that while the world wasn't quite ready for the cherry whiskey, which is currently our best-selling whiskey, the world wasn't ready for it. We needed something that was going to be a little bit different than the bourbon. So we started, when we first bought our still, we started distilling bourbon immediately, and then realized that we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves in the same realm that the rest of the world was living in. And so we started distilling a 95.5 rye. It was actually redistilling MGP's mash bill, and then realized that, well, we also don't want, we're falling into the same trap, which is when we started distilling 100% rye. And there were 2 shops in the Midwest that helped ferment on our behalf because we just haven't had and don't have the fermentation capacity. And that was how our 100% rye was birthed. But the transition from bourbon to cherry to rye to several other expressions has been a result of not wanting to be, I don't know, too bland with just one style.
Oh, wow. It's even red.
Where do you think the red comes from?
Would he ask the things the way that he does in a certain way? It's almost like he's making me think it's a trick question.
I think he just knows you went to Kentucky.
It comes from Cardinals? Is that what you're trying to say this? I mean, I want to say the red comes from the cherry, right?
It does. It doesn't quite bleach it, but it treats the cherry.
But this is a natural smell. It's not like a fake cherry smell.
It's really funny, too, when James and myself, the last trip that we made up to Traverse City, when we're picking these barrels.
Oh, yeah.
We actually showed up during the Cherry Festival in Traverse City. So that was pretty fun and ironic.
How was it?
We're like, it was great, but we were like, man, like we literally drove up. We left at 10 a.m. from Tennessee. Got there at 1 a.m. in the morning. We booked a hotel. It was just me, Thomas, and James. And it was like $300. We slept there for 6 hours. Slept, woke up, went to the distillery, picked our barrels, hung out with Chris. And
I hope you slept more before you shot guns.
No
No
we
way.
did not. We actually picked 2 barrels, had a brief intermission, went outside and shot some skeet. Came back in and picked another.
I feel like the skeet shooting would have been good to refresh the nose.
It really did. It was great.
A whole new set of smells coming in and just really like
and it was the old school
refresh
ski
that
thrower
aspect.
too, like the pool. Like James and I grew up on that. Used to shoot in my dad and his parents' backyard, so it was fun. But yeah,
I have
just
an idea.
ironically showed up at the Cherry Festival, and we found out why it was so expensive because they got like freaking 50,000 people that show up for that.
Yeah.
But I have a crazy idea right now. You know, peanut butter whiskey is taken off.
Has it?
You keep saying this. I don't know if you're messing with me.
Just keep doing it. I'm totally fine. Just keep messing with it.
Like Screwball is taken off like crazy, and then you have
Peanut butter whiskey.
PBW from.
It tastes like a Reese's. Pretty good. It's called Screwball. All right. It's a top, yeah.
But those things have taken off. I almost think you could mix. And Zeke, I'm interested in what you think about this.
I ain't got there yet.
You haven't got to the cherry yet?
I'm migrating across the line.
Well, we're talking about cherry right now.
Well, did you want me to just chug what I had in my glass there?
Yeah. You want a sip of my cherry? There's another glass that's...
Now you're just getting weird. You were literally teeing up some stuff right there, bro.
I'm not even a sip.
Man, he didn't even mean to. That just came out on his own. That wasn't an Edwards volleyball lob either. That was, oh shit, what did I say?
Have you ever seen Tony Romo put on a TV commercial with a hole that's about 40 foot around?
Yeah.
That's what you did. Right.
There you go, big cat.
So you gonna sip my cherry?
Freaking face! I was just waiting.
You gonna sip my cherry or not?
Perfect.
Here, I'll even give you more cherry. But I think if you mix this with a little bit of peanut butter,
whiskey.
yeah, peanut butter whiskey,
Yeah.
this becomes easily a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Like, even though it's the cherry, but it's got that kind of...
There was cherry jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can think of is Cherry Forever from the original Porky's, and I'm a little scared.
Here.
Not gonna lie.
Hand my cherry over to Zeke.
Any of y'all saw Porky's back in the day?
Yeah, that was some of the first.
Did you try the
hits on
cocktail
TV.
cherry?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Forever.
Now, you have cocktail cherry... Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Now, you have cocktail cherries as well.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got them in the cooler.
Well, and I even saw a thing too, not to be completely ADD, but a side investment for TC into a new realm. Something at New York.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We just invested in a cocktail mixer company out of New York called Cocktail Crate. New for us.
Is that more investment or more of a co-branding kind of thing down the road using TC whiskey?
So we acquired the company, but it was because it was a complementary piece to our non-alcohol line, which the only thing that existed before that was our cocktail cherries, which are on fire right now. We sell a lot of whiskey, but we sell more cocktail cherries. So it's a nice complement to Michigan and Traverse City. But having, coincidentally, the Cocktail Crate portfolio, the classic line in their lineup was happened to be the best 3 cocktails that sell at our Stillhouse cocktail bar. So we met them. The branding, the styles are similar. The product is fantastic. It's all organic and all natural, and it allowed us to reach out to the non-booze arena, which is cool.
So they're the cocktail flavor of the North?
Hashtag the cocktail flavor of the North.
The cocktail flavor of the North.
Yeah.
Zeke, what do you think of that cherry?
For some reason, as a kid, I did not like cherries. I like cherry flavor, but something about actual cherries I could never get into. I think it was like the skin versus the middle and the difference in textures.
Yeah.
But I had an aversion to it. Honestly, I would not eat cherries until I was probably late 20s, maybe. I mean, it weirded me out. And
Been about the last year or two for me as well.
And
It used to be very medicinal for me as well.
smelling this, it takes me back there, and I'm like, I get a little anxious, no lie, at the beginning because I don't know why, but when I was a kid, eating a cherry just weirded me out.
Did you taste it yet?
Yeah.
All right. So the one common reaction is that the nose doesn't match the flavor.
It's all pink on the inside.
I think it does to a degree. It's a solid cherry flavor, but it's natural. It's not artificial by any means. I mean, you can tell there's no sweeteners, whatever you folks use to artificially, flavor something like that. Like that's just a legit natural cherry flavor. I think for me, especially being not necessarily the biggest cherry fan, and I think it's 35%. I think like 45% would be a better balance for me as far as light notes of the cherry, a little bit stronger notes of the whiskey. To me, I think that's where my synergy would kind of fall between the two profiles.
Yep.
It's not off-putting. It's just literally that weird kid memory of cherries. They're throwing me off.
Yep.
Which, like I say, it's awkward. But
Well, no, I mean, that's Zeke and I have talked about that like the peanut butter whiskeys that are out there are all 70 proof. And for flavoring, I mean, especially in Tennessee where moonshine is huge, a lot of the moonshine become 30% alcohol. So they're 25, 20, anywhere from 20 to 30% alcohol at the most for a moonshine. You have all these great flavors, but they don't have any kick to it. Where 70 is like close, right? You're getting close to getting a kick. I would love, and I understand 70 is going to please the masses more. And I also understand that whiskey, like the true whiskey nerds are probably 1% of your total overall business.
Yep.
And we get it.
Yeah.
But if you did a special bottling at like 90, 95, I would love that. Just saying. And if there are two gentlemen in the room that want to go pick a barrel, I would go with them and shoot guns and hang out up in Traverse City.
We had a good time.
To me, it's just like, it's not quite there, and I'm sure nobody can see my hands, but that's the best way I can explain it.
You're equalizing your hands right now.
Well, yeah, I'm saying like right now it's kind of here,
Yeah.
but a little more proof to me is going to just the balance for where I'd want it to be would be more in line. But like John said, I'm sure there are tons of people that just can grab it, crush it, and enjoy it. But having that weird cherry aversion as a kid, it just tips the scale a little too much for me.
Yeah, and actually, so that this was the reaction in 2013 when we launched the cherry whiskey. It was right after the flavored vodka craze, and everybody kind of acknowledged that the shelves were dense with every flavor under the sun. And so when we launched the cherry whiskey, a lot of the enthusiast reaction was like, no, thank you. We just went through this. We don't need it again. But we've found that the cherry whiskey since then, probably starting in around 2015, the cherry whiskey has kind of been what we refer to as a gateway expression. So it's helped a lot of customers that aren't ready for a barrel-proof wheat, rye, or bourbon show up at a party with a bottle of whiskey that's true whiskey, but not have to suffer through 120 proof. And it's helped onboard so many people to the sport of whiskey.
Thank you for calling it a sport, by the way. I enjoy that.
But yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. Enthusiasts are my favorite audience because they have a refined palate and know whiskey, but can be critical of it that's not a dick way. Just to your reaction.
It's fine.
We were to your point about the higher proof earlier today. We were joking around about maybe R&D'ing a barrel proof cherry. that conversation was about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago.
No, I mean, we all tend to think alike for the most part. And, back to the point of, constructive criticism in its simplest form, John and I both, these two guys too, always try to like, all right, you know what your own palate is. But I mean, we talk to people, they're inundated with customers every single day. Like, you understand your own palate, but that can't always be the preference or the mindset of the view. And then you kind of have to flip back to, all right, let's look at what we've sold in the past month.
That's what also.
And I'm sure there's stuff you guys sell that you're not necessarily buying or drinking, but you understand that obviously people enjoy it, are going to buy it, and will continue buying it. So then you just kind of have a way, you have to just, it's like understanding your friends' palates. Like when somebody tells you they love something or you taste something, I'm like, oh, so-and-so is going to love this. It's not my jam, but I can tell from the notes I get out of it and from where I've drank countless things with this person, like they're just going to fucking love it and be like, can I have the rest of your bottle? I know you don't like it because you brought it to me to taste it because you told me I was going to love it.
Yeah, I just like it too because you also when we're also picking for ourselves, like at the end of the day, because that makes us unique. But you also, when you get that engagement and you encourage someone to try something out of their comfort zone, and they end up liking something, and it just intrigues them. And we've had that a couple of times, multiple times in our store, where they have just never tried anything like that, and they like it, and then they want another recommendation. Like, I love this. What else you got for me? Etc. So it's fun.
That's always a good thing too when you dial in on someone and you figure out what that is, that sweet spot that they like, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, man, you like And that's what is good about the portfolio, especially, I mean, I'm looking at this table here. We have a wheater, we have a rye, we have a barrel proof bourbon, we have a regular bourbon, we have a cherry flavored whiskey. It's like you guys have a good amount of variety in which things are a little bit different. And that rye has got that piney rye note, at least to me, like it's a rye.
Nosing the rye, to me, that was Christmas.
That rye's.
But at the same time, nosing it was very Christmassy, for lack of better words, and to poke fun at John. But palate, very smooth, very easy. You know, for barrel strength, what you expect out of a rye, and to be kicked in the nethers almost sometimes. It wasn't there at all. I mean, very enjoyable, pleasurable, and all the way through front to back. And
it went down easy. It really goes down easy.
Well, what I wondered too was, do you have any barrel variants as far as where you guys get your barrels from? It's just simply because I've had this pick, some other picks, some samples, and granted, I always say, to me, bourbon's in between the two yellow lines, rye's in between the two white lines of the road. Mm-hmm. But the amount of variance in some of these that I've tasted, it might be on the shoulder of the road almost. So I didn't know if you had different barrels or different chars, but definitely there's a lot of variation going on. So I didn't know if you had anything that would directly attribute to that.
It's funny you bring that up, because had you not brought that up, I was going to mention that about the fact that this is a 4-year rye, but it's not harsh. And that is 100% about the Cooper that we weren't forced to use, but we had to use out of necessity back in 2015. So when you contract a still, your choice of a Cooper is very limited, as in you don't have a choice.
Unless you're going to rebarrel it.
Yeah, exactly. So when we started distilling back in 2015, during that era, there was a big flood in Kentucky, Missouri, and the major cooperages. And we were forced to either not produce or...
Use the one in Minnesota?
We didn't use them, but we used Canton cooperage. And their barrels it's like the Ferrari. This is our version of the truth, but they're like the Ferrari of barrel manufacturers. The barrels that this rye were aged in were Canton, seasoned for 18 months, number 4 char. And at the time in 2015, we were not prepared to spend over double on a barrel, and not knowing that it was going to help the way that it did. But the Canton barrels, they helped fast track the aging of the rye, and it created a much smoother product faster, but the investment was enormous.
Does it make you rethink now in the future? Because I'm sure your shortage got better. You've probably switched back to traditional cooperages.
Well, plus two distilling now. I'm sure
Canton barrels.
But do you think you might go back?
We will always include, if the barrels continue at this quality, they will always be part of our distillation.
So you might have like the special allocated, Canton Traverse City rye that might be released in, one Barrels and Brews gets 1 barrel and Distillery gets 1 barrel.
Yeah, something like that.
You keep it something.
Well, now that it's transitioning all to your own stuff as well. At least I would think, especially being up north and like we mentioned earlier, kind of scientific experiments. I would almost want to play around with some different barrel sources, some different chars, let those get a few years in it. Because at least to me, it's more or less uncharted territory. There's no one that can say this is going to yield the best, and at this age, this is going to happen.
Yep.
Because no one's broken the ground up there.
Yeah.
So at least to me, granted, I'm not the one writing the checks for these kind of things. But if I had the means, I think the tinker in me would be like, all right, can we get a few of these and let's try this and let's put some of these off. And
experimentation's got a long way in the whiskey world right now.
Like sizes, Journeyman, they do 5, 15, small, but they're 6 months.
Yeah.
They're quick.
But I feel like if you have the means, you would want to just tinker with it, and even if I have to taste it every week, like let's see where it is, like what's it really doing.
Like there's somebody we know that picked up. I'll probably butcher the name, but a couple Mizunara casks.
It's a Japanese
those
stuff.
Japanese casks.
Yeah, how do you say it?
We all know the word.
But they are not cheap.
They just did that. Taconic just did one of those, didn't they?
I saw the picture.
Yeah. Taconic just did one of those.
I know I'm not saying the name right or whatever, but it's like,
I always say it's like Mizunara or something.
yeah.
They're
I
beautiful
butchered the name.
barrels, but they are not cheap at all.
I'm gonna look this up. It's Mizunara.
Yeah, Mizunara.
Japanese Mizunara. That's what it probably is.
Mizunara.
It's probably Mizunara.
Okay, yeah.
Close enough. To me, as long as you can recognize the word when somebody says it, who cares?
Fair
But
enough.
anyway, sorry.
No.
Are you guys do any of that at this point, or?
We are. We've,
Heck yeah.
we had some issues in the last year with an unknown or a Cooper that I won't name, but it's encouraged us to diversify a bit.
Yeah.
And make sure that we're not putting all of our eggs in one fatal basket.
For sure. I understand and appreciate that. And
Yeah.
like I say, I never know what the cost variance is, or I'm not the one writing the check, but at least from looking at it from the outside, I would always want a little bit of everything just to see where we're going and how things are developing. And you always got to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening and what other options are out there.
Yep.
Otherwise, you hear about somebody else doing it, and you're like, oh.
Traverse City is also wine country. So we've also, beyond just aging in different types of casks, we've been finishing in different types of wine casks from the local market.
Tell you need an Oak Island thing.
Yeah.
It'd sell.
Oak Island?
I've been trying to get a new wine.
Watch this show. It will suck you in. Amy gives me shit.
Damn.
She's like, this is all made up.
Week trip.
But if you start watching Oak Island,
What channel's Oak
history,
Island?
you'll binge it.
You got to be a pirate at heart, almost.
It'll suck you in, though.
I don't have cable anymore.
Wait,
so
what show?
The
Legend
Curse of Oak
or
Island.
Curse, yeah, no.
Curse of Oak Island.
Do you watch this?
About treasure.
No, I'm familiar. It's a thing up north.
Yeah.
You see,
You know, in the
don't
chat, when I give
watch.
Bob a hard time about the, the Crusader's treasure and all that.
No.
Yeah, like the Holy Grail. This is all that. Supposedly got carried over to Nova Scotia and buried on an island.
Well, there's
I don't need
so.
a rabbit hole to watch.
Is this a fake thing or is it?
Somebody
a real,
spent a lot of damn money.
No, it's
I
like,
don't
I'm-
think so.
No, I'm saying is that this isn't. It's
me,
on the History Channel, but
Yeah.
like this guy's actually looking for it. It's not
Well,
a
it's
fake.
a
show.
family, and Chris said they have a vineyard there in Traverse City. Because I've seen them like mention that area on the show. Because I always laugh like, "Oh, that's where the whiskey is." Like
Well, no, I mean
they
not
got to
to
get together.
Not to get us on a big tangent, but there are rune stones that are in like Canada and the northern United States, and it's a whole thing where like they talk about certain. You think that certain people came over.
Oh,
at
the
a certain-
Templars. That's what it was.
Yeah, but it's the night.
The Knights Templars.
Yeah. But those are the folks that actually did the Crusaders. The
That's what
Knights
all
Templar.
this is
they
based
had
on.
they had the red Crusader cross on there.
Oh yeah, they
'Cause
found,
they
they
had
found
ti-
those crosses and
They
had
had
them
ties
dated.
to Masons, too.
Absolutely. Well, that's kind of the precursor to the Masons. But
Yeah.
the funny thing is that the rune stones proved that if you think about when the Crusades went on, rune stones showed that the Vikings actually, and I'm not saying this is something to take to the bank, right? But these rune stones make people think that the Vikings actually founded North America before Columbus, because it goes back to all this. And my favorite History Channel programs are the ones where the crazy looking guy talks about the pyramids and talks about how all the aliens made the pyramid. Yeah, no, it's all, and he goes, I'll just make this one explicit at this point. But he, and you can't disprove anything he's saying. He's like, so this could have been a bunch of Israelites that carried these stones all the way up this top of the pyramid, or was it aliens? And you can't you can't say no,
You can't
because they
disprove it,
don't
yeah.
know how they actually, I mean, and then you watch how they build the pyramids and they try these things where they like take these logs and they try rolling the.
You don't want to
big-
get me started on that. I've been so many hours into the Ancient Aliens.
But it's all these things that happened like 2,000 years ago, and they're like, did it happen this way, or was it an alien that helped? And you can't,
Yeah, I'm not getting into it.
It's getting deep.
how the hell did we get here?
When there's ignorant about something, he's ready.
There's life somewhere else. We're not getting into that.
Oh, but is it intelligent life, or is it single-celled organisms?
We're here.
Yeah,
Why
you
can't it be anywhere else?
You lost me there, John.
I'm just gonna say that right.
I'm just saying, like, I think there's a bunch of life on other planets, and it could be single-celled organisms.
Oh, I
It's
agree.
just,
I agree with that.
is there intelligent life?
Hey, we're a star, right, in the sky at the end of the day, kind of. I mean, we're around a star in the sky.
Yeah.
How many stars do you see?
Oh, I
I'm
mean,
just going to leave it there.
do you think we're the only anomaly? You know, like,
not
and
at all.
that's.
I'm assuming there's an intelligent life somewhere else.
I love how Chris is like, how the hell did my episode go down
Yeah,
this
where
rabbit
the hell do we
Yes.
just go?
We're
I
getting
always
deep.
just say for the record, John's the only star I see.
Oh, Zeke is the only star in my eye.
Well, you have to be because he gave you his cherry.
Hey, would you like? Oh, damn! You beat me to it. I was about to hand him another glass of his cherry. It's fine.
I burned too hot.
Both ends.
Yeah.
Living on a prayer. Here you go.
So you talked about, and this all started because we were talking about wine finishing
Yeah.
the whiskey. And man, is it
Damn, it is
pouring.
pouring outside right now,
Bottom
bro.
fell out of it.
It is pouring hard. This all started because you were talking about wine finishing your whiskey. You have about 9 SKUs now. Does that mean that those 9 could go up more? Where do you see things kind of moving
I'm doing high.
as you go forward with Traverse City? I mean, you're a management consultant. What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year? Like, where do you see this going? You guys have a hell of a tasting room. I mean, if they're not, there's a separate Instagram for your tasting room at this point, isn't there?
There is.
And
You've been,
some of the best
you've been a
cocktails
sleuth,
around.
have you?
I do my homework before we do a show. But where can the people follow that tasting room?
So we have our main Instagram at TC Whiskey, and then we have our Detroit or Ferndale tasting room, the TC Whiskey Outpost.
You are up to 9,984.
We're almost there.
So I've got you 20 so far. We're 16 away.
Look at that social influence.
Oh,
Look
no,
at him.
no.
It's the beard.
So
It's Zeke. When Zeke had a mustache, we had a lot more influence. So that he shaved it, and we don't.
I'm about to have a nasty mustache.
Oh, dude.
Are you gonna shave the beard and get a mustache?
Hey, the 31st is next week. We're about to be beardless.
Uh-oh.
So, where else?
No.
Where else are you going as we build this out?
the portfolio is going to mellow out. We'll always have special releases like the wheat, which is released in Tennessee, and will probably only be released as far as our still house, the tasting room.
It might be one of those things that it only comes to Barrels and Brews. That's
Yep.
the only wheat whiskey that you have that will get out at some point.
That's the plan. Yeah, we back in 2015, we distilled 10 barrels total. We're now down to 9. So can't go too far.
If you are listening to this and you have any interest in wheat whiskey at all from Traverse City, I would say you got to come down here before it sells out.
Well, and I feel like we're at a definitely at a future tense point here. Have you changed distilling habits as far as how much regular bourbon you run, how much rye you run, how much wheat? I mean, obviously, wheaters get the love these days, and we know other folks that are investing heavily on the wheat.
Yeah.
Have you followed that, or what trends may or may not have changed for you guys?
The trend that hasn't changed is the bourbon production. So in the last several years, the cherry whiskey has taken off, and because it's something that is near and dear to the hometown, it's something that we're going to own and continue growing as best as possible.
So eventually, does MGP go away?
Eventually, MGP goes away. So we're in the process of building out our new facility. So we have 2 shops right now. We have our still house downtown Traverse City. Actually, I have 3. We have just opened a tasting room in Detroit. And then we have our production facility, which is where we shot some guns and picked some barrels.
Best cocktails ever at y'all's. Yeah, that other
At the still house, yeah.
That's awesome. The still house is awesome.
So just a merch idea for you.
Yeah.
Your Detroit tasting room, you should call it Rock City Whiskey Company.
Detroit, Rock City.
Is this the first time?
Well, it has to be on brand with TC.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to Rock City, TC Rock City.
So you could do a shirt that says Traverse City Whiskey Company and then cross out the Traverse and put Rock City Whiskey Company.
Incorporate the letters somewhere across
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you have actually distilling for you at this point? Like, have you brought in a head distiller?
Yeah, we have a head distiller. He and I share the responsibility at the still.
So you're learning all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been behind the wheel for 3.5, 4 years at this point, and we've shared a lot of the responsibility for all of the products.
So the 2 other guys are slacking then that you started Traverse City Whiskey Company with.
They're staying busy.
They're staying
They do
busy.
other things, John.
Mighty
Like
busy.
I do other things, and you know,
Like what?
Yeah, Zeke, what do you do?
I can't give those secrets away right now.
Proprietary information.
Zeke is like, you know, he's the guy who shows up for the comic relief.
I maintain some relationships here and there.
does a
I
nice
do
job.
some things.
Yeah.
I pull us in a couple of picks.
He does that. He can't get the podcast up or edit it or
I show up and
Post it.
talk.
post a story on Instagram.
I did one.
He did one, but
Blacked out. No clue.
we're getting to the point where we are meandering way too much. But setting up where you're going moving forward.
Yeah, so we a year and a half ago, we acquired a new facility up in Traverse City, and we're come Memorial Day 2020, we're going to be bringing a new 24-inch Vendome column online, which is going to up our production capacity by a multiple of 30, which is great.
Wow.
And it will allow us to be self-reliant, which is
The end goal.
exciting. Yeah.
When you have successful crafts that have sourced to start off, you get to a point, and you know, I'll name names because it's all transparent. You know, like take Bellmead, for example. Bellmead had a very good story. They have good whiskey. It was MGP. They got going, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, we're in 23 to 28 states. We physically don't have the facilities at this point to make all of the product that we need to sustain Bellmead Bourbon's reach. It has now become too big. So solution for them, right? They work with Bardstown Bourbon Company now, and that's who is going to be taking over. It's not a bad problem to have. You know, you're going through this, you're like, oh man, shit, we're more popular than we thought we were going to be at this point on the business plan. What do we do? We could source more barrels. We can think of an alternative solution moving forward. And it's like, all right, for part of it, you're almost kind of slapped on the hand for being successful. And it's like, you got to buy the MGP. It's a tough position, right? Like you're at this point where you're leaving Michigan, and it's not a bad place to be at, but it's like this inflection point. Like, what are we doing at this?
Of course, and there's that transition process.
Yeah.
And the transition process of what are you going to become and how are you going to become it? And the fact that the some of the core lineup, the bourbon, the cherry, and the rye have been on this trajectory. I mean, it's kind of bred the idea of own it, run with it, and create something special in house. That's core Traverse City. That is, without the assistance of another distillery, and like Bardstown, and shops like Wilderness Trail are doing fantastic things for younger brands or even bigger brands that need that excess capacity. And I think we're at a point where we want to help like grow our own brand, but at the same time possibly open up that opportunity for others in that same way.
Fair enough. Well, gentlemen, I have to say, out of all the stuff on the table, I mean, that wheat is good. That barrel proof that you all picked, the regular bourbon, is probably still my favorite.
Hey man, depends on the mood of the day.
I know. I mean, it could bounce around. I'm just trying to bring it all together at some point.
For once, I think I actually probably agree with you. Man, rough night, I guess. But no, the bourbon, it really hit in a lot of good spots. I like the rye as well. It noses like a Christmas or traditional rye to me. But palate-wise, the spice and pop wasn't there. A lot of very smooth, mellow, kind of thick flavoring to it. It never got above like mid of the roof of the mouth. I enjoyed it, to say the least.
I just have to say, to jump in for a second, but that's one of the best damn weeders I've had recently.
I'm telling you right.
Like
No exaggeration.
No, for the age, and no lie, John and I talked about coming in. We're like, ooh,
we're like, oh,
four-year weeder. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a fan, and I've appreciated what you guys have done and tasted plenty of single barrels. And then it's like, oh, so we're gonna be on the spot tasting a 4-year weeder. Like, I don't know, John. This might not be the best way to meet somebody.
Well, I talked to Chris. A couple weeks ago, and I was asking him about the weeder. And I called Zeke after. I mean, this is full disclosure. I called Zeke. I'm like, shit, it's a 4-year weeder. And I want Justin and James to know that we have full faith in if they're putting their name to something, it's going to be good.
Yep.
But typically for a weeder, I mean, you think about OWA. OWA is coming out at 7 years. That's the best damn 4-year weeder I've ever had.
I'll put it up there with a lot of weed whiskeys.
Like, I think it's older. And
well, like you said earlier,
I'd love to put that in a blind.
You might need to, rethink how you age instead of drink if, the colder weather. John and I both openly knocked, northern places for not having the heat to move it. But from what he said earlier, maybe it's a different kind of movement, John, like the energy system. You got to see plus and minus numbers. Even though it's going further this way, that's still causing a different environment, a different movement in the barrel. And maybe something we all have to kind of re-educate ourselves on.
What about a higher entry proof now, being up north?
Always a variable.
Well, if you put higher inch proof and it drops.
But you can't put it over 125.
Well, no, I mean, we're just talking about when you breach, like, you put it at 125 and it's going to be dropping because of the climate.
Your MGP has those cement walls, and it's not a traditional rick house, so it's not gaining proof when it's aging. It's actually losing proof. So, like, I almost think it's interesting for you guys in Michigan. What's going on when you guys are aging up there?
I'm just saying
it's
something
pressurized too.
I'm just saying something fun right off the still. Like, there was gin put into a barrel that's bottled at a super high proof.
Even though it's not constantly.
You don't have to call it anything. You can just see what it's like. That'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't know what you'd call it. It doesn't matter, but it'd be right off the still.
I'd enjoy it.
For a table of non-science people, we got a lot of good ideas here. Sorry, Chris. We're just going to keep inundating you with, have you thought about trying this?
But hey, guess what? It's on audio now.
Yeah.
I never remember anything that we talked about.
It's down on paper. I just want to say this table has some of my favorite people. Chris and I have been talking for a while, but Justin, James, we love you. We know we love everything that Barrels and Brews is doing. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Barrels and Brews. Make sure you come down here and check out this wheated whiskey and the other Traverse City picks they have. But this wheat whiskey, I mean, this is the only one that is going to probably leave the state of Michigan.
It'll be the only wheat barrel that we made in 2015 that will leave that won't be at the still house in Traverse City.
Now, because it was made in 2015, does that mean it's the same cooperage as the rye?
It's not. It's actually different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just you never know.
We were scrounging. Anything we could get, we were.
I was just thinking, like, the fact that this is a wheat whiskey that tastes like it punches above, its weight.
Yeah.
I'm like, I almost wonder if you use the same cooperage as the rye, and then there's a trend and analytics.
The aging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, we'll be throwing beer in these barrels too, probably.
Oh, yeah.
We already have some beer in some Traverse City barrels as well from our boys over at Southern Grist.
I actually sent over Russell's Reserve barrel to them that we picked, the extra innings barrel that we did. Jared and I sent that over to Southern Grist and Kevin and Jamie and the folks over there. Jared is just doing awesome things.
Yeah, he's a wizard. I delivered 4 barrels to him last week.
You guys just had a big thing too, because I just want to mention it. I know we're talking about Traverse City, but Kevin from Southern Grist, his brother owns a tequila company. Last week, you guys had a tequila event here for Compaveda. Zeke and I have reviewed Compaveda on Dad's Drinking Bourbon. It's a hell of a tequila. You guys don't even have it in stock. You were going to be the only place in Tennessee that had it, and you sold out that first night, didn't you?
27 bottles. We brought in 3 cases for the event, and sold out that exact same night.
That doesn't sound like a lot of bottles, but it's not a cheap tequila.
No, I mean, we talked about it. We reviewed it on the show. It's, a $3 tequila. It's a very, very good tequila.
It's in the bottle. We have it open here for you to taste if you come by.
Tried it, didn't you?
Haven't tried it yet.
Oh, go get it.
In
let's close it out.
We can finish it. Yeah.
Yeah. We've already mentioned, follow Traverse City at TC Whiskey. Follow Chris at Chris Key TC. You can go to traversitywhiskey.com. They're doing amazing things. Check out all the pics that they have at Barrels and Brews. They are at Barrels and Brews on Instagram. Want to also let you know that all of our glassware, but also all of the glassware at Barrels and Brews is provided by distilleryproducts.com. Once a closely guarded secret in the industry, most of your distilleries that you talk to and you go, hey, where do you get your glassware? Distilleryproducts.com. They are like some of the nicest people to work with. Vicky is the best over there. Carson's great over there. They're one of the best places to go and get your laser etched glassware at wholesale prices, whether or not you want Glencairns, whether or not you want a Tua glass, which is the Irish whiskey tasting glass. They are the only place in North America that engraves the neat glass. So whether or not you are a distillery, you are a bourbon group, you are a store, you want to do some stuff, reach out to me. I will get you in touch with distilleryproducts.com. They're great people. You can follow the dads at Dad's Drinking Bourbon on Instagram, Bourbon Dads on Twitter, Dad's Drinking Bourbon on Facebook. Join our Facebook group, answer a couple questions. We will let you in. We would love to have you. Follow us on your favorite podcast app, whatever it is, we are on it. Justin James, thank you as always. You're 2 of our favorites. Chris, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I know this won't be the last time. Love your taste in whiskey and also love your taste in watches.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for acknowledging the Detroit-made watch.
Yeah, you and I are watch twins.
Birds of a feather.
But thanks, guys. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Good old Nashville, Tennessee, and very simply, for anyone still hanging on, out of these 3 picks, if you like whiskey, one of these is going to strike your fancy. I would guess more than one if I had to, if I was a betting man, but regardless, come down, try it out. You'll leave with one of these 3 in your hand, at least.
Come down to Barrels and Brews. Cheers.
Thank you.
Good night.